Within 4 short years, I sold over $8 million worth of online courses. I had tens and thousands of students in my programs, and I had a team. But I hit burnout really badly to the point where I shut everything down, retired my programs, and to this day, I still don't sell online courses. Now, there are a lot of videos that will teach you the step-by-step on how to create, build, and sell an online course, but there's not enough videos that share the other side of it. The mistakes and the traps that you can easily fall into that can create burnout, resentment, misalignment, and a lot of regret. And so if you are someone who is thinking of starting an online course, or you're in the thick of having an online course, I hope that this video offers you a perspective that I didn't have, that I wish I did back then, because maybe today I would still have my online course business. So the first trap that I fell into was thinking that more customers meant that I would have a better business. And this all started because I joined my very first group coaching program. I met other people in the course space, started following them, and I saw that they were enrolling new students or clients every single month. And I felt like if I wasn't enrolling new people every single day, there was something clearly wrong with me and my business. And so I quickly learned automation, email marketing, funnels, webinars, and I put my course on evergreen, meaning that any time of the day, people could sign up and join my program. And I also took it a step further where every single YouTube video I did would somehow link back to my course, which also led me to making videos that I didn't always like making, but the call to action for every video that I made was always to send people to my free training, which would then lead them to my course. And so it worked. I was enrolling new students every single day on autopilot to the point where every month we were having anywhere between 100 to 200 new students. And on paper, this sounded phenomenal, but behind the scenes, it was an operational nightmare. Because what people didn't see is with this huge influx of students coming in every single month meant that I would have to hire more team. My software expenses also increased a lot as well. And so with this rise in expenses, I needed to do more marketing. I needed to make sure that we were always enrolling new students so that we could be a profitable business. But this clearly became a catch-22 problem because the more marketing I did, the more students I had, the more team I needed to hire, the more expenses I had, the more marketing I then needed to do. So it was kind of like this hamster wheel that started happening. Over time, as my business got a lot more operationally complex, more and more time was taken away from actually being with my students because I was spending most of my time either being a marketer or a people manager. Now, looking back, there was a lot of mistakes that I made. One of them being that my program was a one-time payment program. There was no renewal fee, no subscription. I also didn't have any other offers that the same student could buy into, but also just stepping back and realizing I didn't need tens and thousands of students. I only needed a fraction of that. And the root problem was really because I was not clear on what my personal financial goals were, and I was constantly comparing myself to other people and using their numbers as my benchmark. Instead, what I should have done was thought about these 5 things in order to figure out what was truly enough for me. The first one being my minimum cost of living. What are my base necessities? What are my housing costs, my grocery costs, my bill payments? This is the minimum amount that I need to make in my business to survive. The second is thinking about what are my business expenses to run the business the way that I would want to run it. Do I want to host events? Do I want to do a YouTube video once a week? How much is it going to cost to hire the editor to do that? How much are my software expenses? What are the costs of running my business? Third is then thinking about your dream life and the price tag associated to that dream life. This is all the frivolous things, the extras, the bonuses. For me, I love to travel, so I would want to at least be able to travel twice a year. I would prefer to fly business, and I want to bring my mom with me and be able to have her fly business. How much is that going to cost me every single year to maintain? If you want to buy a house, how much is the down payment? What's the cost of the house? What's the interest rate in the mortgage? Really cost those things out. Is there a charitable component that you care about? What are your values? What do you want to be spending your money on? How much does that dream cost, and how much does that cost every year to maintain that? The fourth is your investment goals. One thing that's so beautiful about this type of business, information business, digital business, it's very profitable, and it is your best opportunity to build wealth for your financial future and take care of your family. So really figure out how much money do you want to be setting aside every month or every year in your investment account or savings account to achieve that nest egg goal. Because one of these days you may not want to do videos anymore. You may not want to be a creator. You may not want to work with clients. You want to be clear on, do you want to have a business that's scaling up to 20 million, 50 million, $100 million a year, and you're taking everything you're making and reinvesting it back for that growth? Or do you simply want a lifestyle business so that you can live your life, take care of your family? One or the other is not wrong, but you want to be clear on what you want. And if it's a lifestyle business that you want, you don't want to be following the advice of taking everything you're making and putting it back in the business. What you want to be doing instead is investing that money, or at minimum, putting it in a high interest savings account so you're not losing your money to inflation. Finally, when you add all those numbers up and you have a better idea of how much revenue you want to make in your business every year, you then want to consider what your expenses are, figure out the profit, and then understand how much taxes you're going to be paying on that profit. That way, you're not surprised by your tax bill. Now, once you have that final number, you may think, wow, I actually need a lot more than I thought, so maybe I need to launch more offers, or maybe I need to increase my prices, or maybe it's a lot less than you expected. So maybe you think, maybe with the time that I'm grinding and hustling, I could be spending more time going outside and going on more walks. Or maybe I don't need that many clients per year. Maybe I actually need a few very loyal ones. Whatever it is, once you have that number and you know what is enough for you, it's going to bring you so much clarity on how to structure your business, how many clients you need per year, what's the pricing, and what's the business model that makes the most sense for you. And so one thing that I regret was really not understanding this concept and constantly chasing for new and more and putting so much pressure on the business to run like a hamster wheel rather than just nurturing very few clients, having much more strategic pricing, and then being able to give such a great experience to the point where the same people are reinvesting over and over again, so that I don't necessarily need to do so much marketing to get new clients all the time. I think the overall theme here is that more is not always better, and the same concept applies to when you're building out your course as well. I made the mistake thinking that the reason why my program was valuable and why people were buying was because of the amount of information that I was sharing. But the truth was, people were buying it because they just wanted more proximity to me. I didn't realize that, and so I would stuff my program with more worksheets, more videos, more information, more bonuses, because I thought that's what made the program valuable. But looking back, I now realize that I would personally rather pay premium pricing to get the result in 3 steps than 20 to 50 steps. And I think that this is a mistake that a lot of course creators make, is they equate more information with more value, when in reality, what they're paying for is the speed of getting the result and access to your philosophy and your perspective. And one thing I wish I had back then was Gamma, so that I would be spending more time with my students and less time building course materials. Gamma is the sponsor of today's video. They're an AI-powered tool that allows you to build beautiful presentation decks, websites, and social media assets in just one click. And I want to show you how I turned this basic Google Doc lesson outline into a beautiful on-brand slide deck in just a couple of clicks using Gamma. Now, first of all, the one thing that I really hate about these AI tools is that it's never on brand. The first thing that I'm gonna do is go into their template maker and upload an existing brand brief or an existing slide deck that I already use for my course. This way, Gamma has all of the colors, all of the fonts in order to build out my slide deck presentation. Now, if you don't have an existing brand or you're not very particular, you can also use any of the various templates that Gamma has to offer. Then I'm gonna create a new design using their AI feature and click on the option where I can upload my own document. Now, if you're someone that doesn't have an existing outline, you can also build a presentation with just a single AI prompt with Gamma as well. But in my case, since I already have an outline that exists, I'm going to use that instead. From here, you can get Gamma to add more information to what you've already created. You can get Gamma to condense what you have, or you can just keep your content the same. I'm going to get Gamma to generate new ideas for me based on what I've already made, specifically how my students can improve their masterclass sales techniques, which is what this lesson is about. What's also cool is you can get Gamma to translate what you've created in different languages, and you can also control the amount of slides that you want and how much information is going to be on each slide. Next, you can choose a theme that Gamma already has, but in our case, we already created our own, so I'm going to use my theme. Now, what's really cool is that Gamma will design your slide deck in real time, and you can already tell that it's really making it look way more professional than my Google Doc. The best part is from here, your slide deck is totally customizable, so you can change the text, you can even swap out the photos using Gamma AI or uploading your own. If you don't like the graphs that Gamma picked, you can change the graphs, and by the way, Gamma has a lot of different options for you. What's also great is you can add your own slide decks, or if if you don't like the information that Gamma created, or you just want to improve the things that you created, you can easily select what you want to change and ask Gamma to improve it using AI. What's also really cool is the different integrations that exist within Gamma, so you can put your Calendly link, your Airtable, a Google form. It can be really interactive if you want your students to engage within the program. Now, the common way of how people are delivering their courses is they will make beautiful slide decks that they can screen record over to deliver the lessons, and then download the slide decks as a PDF and upload it to the course portal. But over time, as you make updates to your program and you update those slide decks, you're going to have to download it as a PDF and re-upload every single time, and your students will also need to do that as well. Well, with Gamma, every time you make a presentation, you're able to publish it to your Gamma site, which is totally customizable, and all your students will now need is the link to your Gamma site so that they can access all of the slide decks and all of the lessons that you've created. The beauty of this is every time you make an update to the slides, your students will get that update as well without needing to download a whole new PDF. This is going to make it a much more seamless learning experience for your students, and it's going to reduce the time that you spend on the admin side of your course. Now, with Gamma, there are far more things that you can create beyond just slide decks. You can build beautiful websites and social media assets using their AI tool or by uploading an existing outline or vision that you have. And if you want to try Gamma.app for free, then make sure you check out the link in my description box or in my comment section below. So far in this video, we talked a lot about the concept of time, how to save time, how to spend your time. And one thing that I really regret doing is buying into the notion that you need to scale up your time, you need to delegate everything, you need to outsource everything. And even though this is sound business advice so that you're focused on doing your highest leverage activities and you're able to make more money for the business, I have found that when you remove yourself from certain activities that get you closer to your customer or closer to the why of why you started things, it really takes the heart out of the business. Now, I recently started a new business. It's a physical product business. It's a superfood drink called Super Boba. And I spent the last 4 days handwriting every note to every customer. Is this something that is scalable? No. But it was so important for me to do it because it allowed me to actually understand and really get connected with the people that were buying my product. And it also reminded me of the first few years when I had my online course business and how I would do those little things for my students. I remember one year I did like video message cards, like personalized video message cards to at least like 300 students of mine over Christmas. To this day, there are still so many of those students that remember that moment and they will still reference that. That's how you create loyal customers. That's how you create a memorable experience. And it's also how you feel more connected to why you're doing the thing that you're doing in the first place. My biggest regret is losing sight of that and over time just seeing my course as a product rather than something that was built of love and care and how it was helping people. I think there's something about just keeping that touch point as a founder, even as your business grows, even as you get a lot of customers and clients and all these things. Like, what are some ways for you to still be on the floor, for you to still be on the ground and with your people? Is it going to the events? Is it hosting an event? Is it showing up to the Zoom calls? What can you do to just stay grounded? Because for me, I scaled up so much and I delegated so many things and I outsourced so many things that I just lost sight of my purpose. I think because of that, there were a lot of moments in my business where I was like, what is the point of all this? Why am I doing this? Who cares? But if I was just closer and I was just on the ball more, on the floor more, then maybe that wouldn't have happened and maybe I would have been more consistently reminded of my why. But on the topic of getting closer to your customer and not losing touch with them, I also need to talk about the next mistake I made because if I'm being honest, what I also did was I universalized bad experiences. So what this looks like is as you scale or as you become a CEO or as you just have a team, over time, as you outsource more customer support and your team is handling everything, sometimes there will be an escalation process where there is an email or there's a feedback that is so negative and so bad that they need to bring it up to you. And as you grow your audience, as you grow your business, as you get more clients, you will inevitably have that. So if you think about it, let's say you have 10,000 clients and 10% of them are not happy, but 90% are. Even if you take that 10%, that's 1,000 people. And so if you are in the situation where all you're seeing is the 1,000 people who don't like you, who felt like you didn't meet their expectations, who are disappointed in you, and maybe half of those people choose to use really mean words to describe describe their experience that are very hurtful, and by the way, they are not bad people, it's just the circumstance, then it's gonna take a toll on your mental health, on your perception of things, on how you perceive reality, because it took a toll on me. And as a result, it got to a place where I was scared of my own clients. And it was almost as if I let the bad negative experiences with certain clients overshadow all of the positives. And it created that distance. And that's what also led me to enjoy making more YouTube videos. I've talked to other course creators or other people who do a lot of client work, and this feeling is common. Not a lot of people talk about it. And to be honest, I'm a little bit afraid of even just admitting and sharing this because it just feels so real and vulnerable. Sometimes it does take one or two or five or 100 really negative experiences that just cuts deep sometimes. And again, it's not because any person is bad. It's the situation, it's the circumstance. That was what also really scared me away from intimacy and getting closer. Looking back, what I wish I did instead was constantly, truly like reminding myself of all the positives. Every positive review, every person that said the program helped them, every good thing I wish I printed and like put it on a board and just looked at it every single day just to remind myself that we're doing a good job and people do enjoy my work. Because near the tail end of my business, I just lost that purpose, lost that touch. It just felt no one's gonna miss me if I leave. Yeah, I think that was like the spot that I was in when I really felt the weight of my burnout, was all that negative self-talk of like, nobody's gonna miss me if I leave. And I think this transcends beyond just online courses. It also links back to being a creator in general and putting your work out there for people to judge and see. And there are a lot of expectations online. When you don't meet them, it really sucks. It's so easy to make that mean something about you. And it's so easy to look at, even when I'm looking at the comments section sometimes, like I will instantly hyperfixate on like the one that's really bad. And then I will make that one mean something about me and it will ruin my entire day, make me see myself completely differently. Even though my videos have hundreds of comments per video, I will still fixate on that one. And I think that's human nature. And that's why I wanted to make this video so that you understand that will happen on your journey. But I also want you to learn from my experience of not taking it so seriously, improving and learning from it rather than making it mean something about you. The next regret that I have is always sharing and publicizing how much money I was making online. And I know it's very ironic because the title of this video is I made $8 million as a course creator. And I agree that sometimes you do need to share how much you're making or the size of your business or the amount that you're doing or the volume that you're doing in order for people to pay attention. It's what people are clicking on. It's what captures attention. And it also shows people what's possible. If you think about it, if I didn't know that people were making this much doing YouTube or people were doing this much making online courses, doing a physical product business, then I wouldn't do it. Or let's say you work a 9 to 5 or you're at school studying and you see, oh, this is how much I can make as a doctor versus a lawyer versus a software engineer. Oh, this is what I'm going to study. And so I agree that when you share your income and how much you're making, it shows people what is possible and it helps others. At the same time, when it's your entire marketing strategy, when it's your entire, what seems like your identity online, then it can create a lot of problems. The first one, it can create resentment among your clients. If you are tying your worth to income and therefore training them to tie their worth to income, they join your program, they don't feel they got the exact same result you did, or maybe they haven't gotten their results yet, but they see that you're winning and you're posting all these numbers and all of that. It just does create that type of resentment. Not to mention when all of your marketing is just sharing how much money you're making or how much money your potential clients could make, you also attract the wrong clients that expect that result for themselves, which is reasonable because that's all you're marketing. But then it creates that expectation. And when you don't meet that expectation, it creates a lot of problems. The second issue is how it affects the expectation on how your business should be doing every single month. When you are publicly sharing how much you're making and you don't make that same amount the next month, you make it mean something about you and you suddenly feel shame and additional pressure. It's already a lot of pressure when you're not doing as well as you did the previous month, let's say. But to add the public layer on top makes it even worse. It pulls you out of gratitude and it just always makes you feel like you don't have enough and you're trying to constantly prove to other people that you're worthy and that you're doing well. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not saying that you shouldn't be sharing big business milestones. I'm all for it. I'm more so talking to the people who are every day sharing how much money they're making, all the clients that they're signing. Their entire social media feed is just striped screenshots and it's just 100% of their perceived identity online. Because it's hard enough to grow a business, it's also hard to maintain it. And there will be times inevitably where you have great months and then you don't, and then you have great months and then you do a little less. But that doesn't mean that you have a bad business. It means you have a normal one. And sometimes with the sharing and the publicizing, it creates that additional pressure because now you're hustling and you're grinding for other people to prove to other people, oh, no, my business isn't flopping. I actually am doing better and better and better every month, or I'm still doing 100K months. I'm still doing 200K months. It's just this mind suck. It's nice when you're winning, but then there will be months if you have a normal business where you plateau or you do a little less, but that doesn't make you any less of a business owner. And it doesn't make your business any less than an actual business. The third problem is you are missing out on so many skills to actually market your program and market yourself beyond just money. It is so easy to do a Stripe screenshot or PayPal screenshot, slap it on Instagram stories and say, look at how much I did this month, join my program, buy my course. Anyone can do that. It is so easy. It takes 2 seconds to do. But what's hard is actually thinking about how can I market the benefits of my program, the features, the transformations beyond money. That's the challenging part, is how can you actually build the skills of a true marketer? And let's say one day you decide not to sell an online course, you have to sell something else. You can't say, here's how much money I made, blah, 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 blah. That's a whole different ballgame. And so you're really missing out on key crucial skills that are needed for marketing and sales. Now, the next problem that nobody really talks about is how it also affects your relationships or people's expectations of you when you share your income publicly. Now, this can be personal or it could be just anyone on the internet. So let's use the random person on the internet as an example. I remember I shared a video talking about my Sony ZV-E10 and someone left a comment saying, oh, you said that you're a millionaire. Why would you be spending your money on such a cheap camera from the Sony line? You must not be doing as well as I thought. And this stuff doesn't matter because it's literally randos on the internet, but take that and apply it to your personal life as well. That can also happen where people now realize, oh, she's making this much or he's making this much. Why are they choosing this? Why are they doing that? Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they providing more? Why aren't they, whatever expectation or assumption that they have, people start pocket watching you. And it makes a lot of sense why people generally do not share how much money they're making, because it puts a target on them. It's also for safety reasons, but it's also because some people just project. They project how you should be spending your money. They start assuming that you're lying if you are not maintaining a certain image of yourself. There is no winning in this, because I could be spending my money on designer items and someone will call me materialistic and that I clearly wasn't born into wealth, or I could be saving my money and not spending money on certain things and someone will then assume that I'm not doing as well as I said I was. Even if you think about what I was talking about sharing your income publicly online and the expectation that you have that you put on yourself, there's going to be times where you're not making as much as you were before and you have to pull back certain things. And that can affect how your family and friends perceive you because they were so used to you doing things a certain way back then when you were making a lot more. And so these were the things that I did not even think of when I was in my 20s, sharing how much money I was making all the time, every single week, that I now really think about in my 30s. Now, even though I'm telling you all of the things that could happen that are bad if you share your income online, I want to talk about the next regret that I have is not understanding sooner that you just need to be okay with being misunderstood. And as you grow your audience, as you grow your customer base, everyone is going to be throwing their projections at you. And even this video is a projection of my experience, and it doesn't have to necessarily be yours. And you need to recognize that, because for so long, I took on everyone's projections as truth, and as a people pleaser, I would bend and mold and literally be a chameleon to make sure that everyone else was happy and that I was meeting the expectations of as many people as possible. But then it led to my own demise, which was burnout. You have to understand that as you grow your audience, as you grow your client base, you will naturally grow in numbers. And when you grow in numbers, there is going to be a percentage of people that misunderstand you, that are committed to misunderstanding you. And your ability to hold fame needs to be in proportion with your ability to have peace with being misunderstood. And I know nobody likes to use the word famous. I don't think I'm famous, but it is what it is. When you grow your audience, when you grow your visibility, you are growing fame, you are growing publicity. and you will reach more people. And not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to understand you. And not everyone lives your life. I could post so many videos online and you will still not really know who I really am. And so for me to take a comment that a stranger made or an email that a client sent and make that mean my entire identity and reality simply does not make any sense. Now, do those comments hurt? Do those emails hurt? Absolutely. But you shouldn't take on other people's expectations and other people's projections as your truth. And the sooner that you understand this, the sooner that you will just move through business and through life with a lot more peace and ease. Now, the next lesson that I learned isn't necessarily a mistake or a regret, but it is something that I wish more aspiring course creators or current course creators thought of, is just the permanency of lifetime access programs. So my program started off as a lifetime access course. The terms and conditions always said that it was the lifetime of the actual program, not necessarily lifetime into infinity. But at some point we changed it to 12 months access, and we actually saw a spike in people getting great results with the program because they didn't want to lose access to the course and not actually do anything with it. But then at some point we received a lot of emails and unhappy people that felt like it was unfair that they bought the program and that they would lose all the content. And so we switched it back to lifetime access. And that was good and bad. It was good because there was less people that were upset when they lost access, but it was bad because a lot of the clients' results weren't as good as when the program was 12 months access. Now, regardless of the backstory, my program became lifetime access. And when I retired the program, even though it was so clear in our terms and conditions that it was only lifetime until the lifetime of the course, meaning that if I ever retired it, lifetime access would be over, I got so many people that were very upset. And again, you have to keep volume in mind. I had a lot of clients, so 10,000 students, even if 10% was upset, that's still like 1,000 people that were not happy, right? I ended up having to migrate all of the content from Kajabi to Thrivecart. Now, Kajabi is a very expensive platform. It made sense back then when I was making a lot of income with online courses. I was getting new clients every single month. That expense made sense. But when I retired it and I decided to go on my sabbatical and I started to exit this industry, it no longer made sense to pay for Kajabi in order for people to have access to the program. And so I had to sign up for Thrivecart, which is a one-time payment that you pay, and then you have lifetime access to the platform. So I really spent a lot of time migrating all of the materials into the program, into Thrivecart, so that all of my students can continue having lifetime access to all of the materials. Had I not done that, it would have been such a nightmare because either I would have to pay more for Kajabi or I'd have to download everything and then put it in a zip file. I was also looking at Dropbox and Google Drive, and all those things also costed storage fees. And so I was very lucky that Thrivecart exists. And if you want my link to it, it's in the description box below. Highly recommend it. And the reason why this is maybe a regret in hindsight is if I had known that I wasn't going to do online courses anymore, or that I was going to sunset and retire my program, I would have just started with Thrivecart from the beginning. And I would have just picked a platform where I didn't necessarily always have to pay a monthly fee just to allow people to keep their access to the program. And the crazy thing is even though I sunsetted and retired that course 2 to 3 years ago, to this day, I will still get about 5 emails a month of people who said, "Oh, I never got access. I don't know my password." And it was because I think some people just didn't read the email I sent about us moving from Kajabi to Thrivecart, and they got lost in translation. And because I still do YouTube videos, I'm still active on social media, people are obviously reminded that, hey, I have access to this course. I want to look into it now. To this day, I'm still paying for some of the expenses associated to that course because people still have access to it. And I just wish more people talked about or thought about what is your exit plan, because I spent so many years marketing this course, building it up, and I didn't spend enough time thinking about what that exit strategy would actually look like, because realistically, you may not want to run a certain program or course forever. But anyways, I hope that this video helped and that at least one thing I shared gave you a different perspective, or maybe it validated a thought or a feeling that you are having, and it will allow you to move differently or find a better way of how you are currently running your business or thinking of running your business. And if you are someone who is new to my channel, then I highly recommend you watch this video next, because it gives you the entire backstory of why I ultimately decided to shut down my business. As always, guys, I appreciate you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye, guys, and take care.